Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. I am always inspired by the entrepreneurial community here in Peoria. It's fantastic, and I certainly appreciate the opportunity to share my vision for a new world in the beauty services industry with you all, and then get some feedback and tell me what I'm missing here. But I'm Michelle Bohm, owner, founder of Inspired Style Company, and I'm sure that you have heard the story of how does someone that doesn't even own a flat iron and hates to shop ends up owning a salon and boutique. It is kind of a long roundabout story that you can read in my book someday, but I won't get into all of that. I honestly am just a girl that decided to go for it. I saw a need, an opportunity that I was uniquely qualified to fill. And so even though it wasn't in an industry that I had any experience or even interest in, I decided to chase that opportunity. And so now that's what I do for my clients. My clients are the service providers that are working in the industry. So that would be hair, nails, facials, massage, any service that you would have in a salon. The people that perform those services are my clients. And I help them evaluate opportunities in the industry and then support them while they chase it. So a little background on me first. I think when I explain how I got the roundabout way from here to there, it makes sense to entrepreneurs. You're like, oh yeah, I totally get how you could go from here to there, but it doesn't always make sense in the beauty world. So I started, I was a very serious business student. I went to Missouri State and I studied finance and economics and accounting and marketing, and I thought that I was perfectly fit into a corporate environment. That's what I was gonna do. I was gonna wear a suit and carry a briefcase to school or to work every day. But while I was in college, a financial planner discovered me and I went to work for him. And then I kind of got a peek into the world of being self-employed, going after your ideal client, and I really liked that idea. When I graduated, we moved back home, my husband and I do what everybody does when they have a degree in finance. You go and work in a bank because that's where you work. And I picked mortgage lending because it did give me that opportunity to work with clients like I had seen before. I got to help them, and I got to help them buy their first home, and that was very emotionally rewarding for me. But I also discovered there that I love trying to figure out complex problems, because that's really all mortgage lending is taking a square peg and fitting it into a round hole. And I loved seeing those problems. I loved obsessing about them and then finding the solution. And that comes into play now in what I do. But then I had my kids, my two boys, and decided that working for somebody else isn't gonna work for me long term. I wanted to be home, I wanted to have a certain lifestyle, and so I left banking and decided I would stay home with my kids until they went off to school and then go back to that life. But while I was there, I had an opportunity to work in a startup direct sales business selling handbags. So I go from banking to handbags. But it was something I could do at home. I learned a lot about direct sales. Going out and getting a client to buy a handbag out of my car is a little weird. But I loved it and I was really good at it. So I built my own business, and then I got the opportunity to coach other people to do the same thing that I did. And I was fantastic at that. We were number 2 in the nation. Our team was number 2 in the nation the day they called and told us, your company is closed today. And so I was, of course, devastated. I wasn't sure what I was going to be able to do from there. Should I go back to banking but you know what, I kind of had a taste of the lifestyle that I wanted, and so I didn't really want to do that. I took the summer off and decided that I would just sit with these ideas. What do I love doing? I love helping women start businesses. I love figuring out complex problems. I love being able to work in the morning, go to an event with my kids in the afternoon, and then go back and work till midnight. I liked that flexibility. So I spent the summer sitting with that idea of how do I find where I fit? And I happened to be in a salon getting my hair done for my brother's wedding. They forced me in there, but I was there. And the salons actually make me really nervous. I had maybe been in one 10 times at this point in my life. So I was sitting in there and I was talking to the girl that was doing my hair, and all of a sudden it was like, whoa, somebody slapped me in the face I'm sitting in a room with all women that are solopreneurs within the salon that are trying to build clientele, that need to have a cohesive team, and I am perfectly fit in that world. So even though it wasn't something I thought I would be doing, I decided by the time I got up out of that chair, I was going to go to beauty school. So I knew 2 people that owned salons, and I texted them and said, don't laugh, I think I'm supposed to go to beauty school. And of course they laughed, and they're like, okay, go ahead. So I went and realized that is not what I am supposed to do. I can't even pretend to want to do services on other people. So maybe I'm supposed to be a coach for salons because I can't even like turn a brush that way. So I said, okay, I'm going to start a salon coaching business, and I'm going to go coach other salon owners on how they should run their business. They are a very unique group of people. You would think, because the majority of salons are failing, that they would be interested in hearing about my ideas. But turns out I had 0 street cred with them. And so they're like, the ones that could afford me wouldn't listen to me. The ones that couldn't afford me would listen all day to the ideas. So I was kind of in a stumbling point there. Like, how do I build the street cred and get close to my customer, not the people I usually hang out with, and not be in that industry? So an opportunity came. I happened to walk into a salon in Pekin, and the hair on the back of my neck stood up, and I thought, yep, this is it. Okay, so now I own a salon. That all happened within about a 30-day period of time. And so I was still kind of like reeling from all of it, and I thought, I will open a salon. I will bring in all of these people that need my help, and I'm going to teach them how to grow a business. I'm going to create the best business model in salons, and then I'm going to turn around and franchise that. And that was my path. So this is the salon that I opened. It was a family-owned business for almost 50 years, and it had sat vacant, and nobody had touched it. So we came in, we cleaned it up. It's in Pekin. We have 6 chairs around a central salon floor, so it's really great for the kind of environment that I want. That salon piece of the business was the first focus, but then I found that massages and facials are really growing here, and we don't have a place for that, so I had to open another 2 rooms behind our salon within the first couple years, and that's what I've spent the last 2 years doing, really getting the space to where we could work in it. Now, again, I lacked the street cred to actually get the service providers that I wanted to work with to come work for me. So that was my first hurdle in my business. And luckily, I was smart enough to know that I needed to get the right kind of people in there. So this is my friend Nora, who worked with me in the handbag business and who happened to own a salon and who happened to want to retire in the next 5 years. So I convinced her to come. She'd closed her salon. I said, come work for me. You can help me get this off the ground, because you can tell that girl if she did a good job on the haircut, and I just say it looks fine. So you can actually coach and mentor these students. It's very rewarding for her, something she enjoys. So I got her to come with me. And then this is my other friend, Kelly, who worked in finance. She's my age, worked in finance, and I sat and thought about, who do I know that is like born to do this, that she loves all things beauty and she's glitter everywhere. Who do I know? And she was the person that I knew, but she happened to work in the financial services industry. So I called and I said, Kelly, I want you to quit your job, go to beauty school, and come work for me. And she said, okay. So that's what she did. She quit her job in finance, spent a year in beauty school, and now she works with me. And she is my ideal client. She is somebody that is inspired, that wants to, she's more than doing a haircut. She is talking to that person about their hopes and their dreams and what they want, and really, really connecting with them. And then doing that over and over and over again. It fills her cup, it fills the cup of the client in the seat. So that was my first obstacle, was getting those kind of people to work for me. I had like a chicken and an egg problem. I had clients coming through the door and I had nobody to serve them. I even went so far as to make friends with other salon owners and then convince them to come work a day in my salon. Could you take Tuesdays for me? Like, I got people coming in here and I have nobody to serve them. So I got other salon owners to come work in my salon just to serve the people that were coming through the door. It really was like that. You wouldn't think that would be the most difficult problem that you would have, but surprisingly, it was at that point. Then I had to create a model that would actually work. So I'm sure that you have not spent a lot of time thinking about the problems that service providers have. You probably haven't thought about, why is there a salon on every corner? You just go get your hair cut in one. Or why do I know so many people that went to beauty school but are doing something completely different? And I hadn't put much thought in that until I got into this. And I saw it and I was like, wait a minute. 93% of people are not in business in 2 years. That graduate today from beauty school will not be in business in 2 years. 93% here in Peoria. And I'm sure it's even bigger, it's an even bigger number nationwide. But why is that happening? And although there are a lot of obstacles, I mean, obviously we're all entrepreneurs, so we know that there are obstacles to that. But the biggest problem that I saw was these students are sold the idea of an entrepreneurial lifestyle. You can work when you want, you can make what you want, and it's going to be great. But then they're trained to work a minimum wage job. And so they get out in the world, and when it's not what they thought it would be, it's what's wrong with me, I'm going to quit. I'm going to go, I'm a beauty school dropout, I'm just going to go, work somewhere else. And that is what's happening. This talent, these passionate people like Kelly, can't make it 2 years in business. And so they quit. They leave the industry altogether. Or sometimes they'll go and they'll become a rep for a company or things like that. They'll go sell beauty products to salons, but most of them just leave altogether. So we have this brain drain here of these passionate people that are leaving. And that wasn't something I could tolerate. Like, you were born to do this, you need to do this. So come in my salon and let's create a plan to get you from hourly minimum wage worker to whatever you want it to be, whether it's owning your own salon someday, becoming a platform artist, which I didn't know what that was when I started either. So a platform artist is someone that goes to these big hair shows that we have every year and does, they're the celebrity people that do that. So some people aspire to do that. Let's help you find a path to do that. Other people aspire to create products. Let's help you do that. I don't care what your vision is for your future, let's help you get there. And I've created a model that helps them along that way. Now, I also saw a problem with the schools here. I don't know if you realize there's 2 beauty schools that support the Tri-County area here in Peoria. And that is not enough qualified students coming out of there to support the salons that are open right now. So there are chairs everywhere. Salon owners cannot fill those chairs because they don't have qualified people that can sit in them. So the plan that I created, again, takes them from phase 1 to phase 5, which is actually out owning their own salon someday. And plug for Andrew and co-starters, I originally thought that I would franchise this idea, that I would create the model and then sell it. There'd be a salon on every corner named Inspired. But after going through co-starters and talking with Andrew, I realized the operational part of it and I kind of figured out those problems. That's the easy part. I want to figure out the big problems, the systemic problems in the industry, and I want to coach people more than I want to sell a salon in a box. So that's what I've decided to do. We kind of pivoted a little bit, and I want these people to transition out of my salon and then become coaching clients and create a community of service providers that we can now collectively do things like create software that we need, because there's a huge software problem in the industry. I know, we need your help. Again, how is it possible that there is a $1 billion industry here and people are not creating the programs that we need to run our salons? How is that possible? Because salon owners aren't seen as business owners. And so that's, again, a problem that I need to change. And then how do I take those people that want to do product distribution, that want to educate? There's a huge market for being an educator in the industry. can I take this community and make a co-op out of this with all of these people, all of these different skills, and then we've got a community of those. And that's what we're doing, honestly. That's what we're doing here in Peoria. I finally see how I was perfectly designed to fit into this world, even though it didn't quite make sense at the time. All of my skills are translating perfectly, and we really are. We're making a difference here in Peoria. So I've partnered with Tricoci University. I've got those students fresh out of school there. And then I've got the ones that are kind of on their way out. They're ready to mentor those young people. My gap right now is those in the middle. Because there's only, like, we call them unicorns now. I need somebody that's got like 5 years of experience, a good amount of clientele, and doesn't need hand-holding. Like, that's the piece that's missing in my business right now. But those people are few and far between. And I have spent the last 3 years networking and just developing relationships with these students out of school and then the salon owners, and those people are hard to find. So now I have to create them here in the salon. Now, another piece that I had mentioned was that I own a boutique, and again, I hate to shop. Like that, if you want to torture me, make me go shopping with you. But the place that I had the perfect spot for a boutique, and I have 30 women walking through here every day, sitting in front of the person that they look to for style advice, that's wearing earrings, and is like, oh, those are cute earrings. Here you go, I have them right here. So that was an opportunity that I saw after I opened. I'm lucky enough that the salon floor that we created, I had an office that sat right off the floor, so I would honestly sit there all day with my ideal client and watch them. You know, felt spied on because I'm just sitting there taking notes about what they do all day. And I realized that I'm missing a huge opportunity here by not using this real estate that I have and using the very simple selling that's there. So started a boutique. But I don't want to go to these buying shows and buy clothes and handbags and shoes and like, no, I don't want to do that. I want products that are going to inspire. So that is my vision for the boutique. Only products that inspire, in a marketplace similar to like an Etsy, you know, cooperative type environment. I needed to create an e-commerce store that I didn't know how to do that either. So I spent the last year working on that. We've got our e-commerce marketplace almost finished. And I'm going to take, these are some of the companies that are in our salon right now. So there's a farm in Hopedale that creates all these organic, amazing products. She needs a platform to launch that business. Well, why don't you come be my inspired business of the month? And we'll see how it goes. Like, I can test that product and see how it's going to do in my salon and also help her. And if it works out and it's a product that my clients walking through the door are gonna want, then great. We will put you on our marketplace. You'll manage all of that yourself. And it'll kind of be just mostly e-commerce, but we'll of course have those people that are coming through. Now, I know that I've gotten off track and I've already gone over time. So I would love to know the questions that you guys have for me. Again, I know it's a roundabout way for me to even get here to owning a salon, but when I look back now, it does kind of make sense. So I hope it makes sense to you guys how we got here.
So, your initial idea, creating a franchise, and obviously that's been done with Sports Cuts.
Yeah,
and
yep.
places like that, but are there franchises for, I assume it's kind of a ladies' salon?
Yeah, there really isn't. So the Sola Salon that just opened in East Peoria, that is a franchise. You can go to a Sola Salon everywhere, but each one of those rooms in there are just rented. It's a booth rent situation. So they've tried to kind of create a cooperative environment, but they're so siloed in each, you might have somebody that does nails and next to somebody that does hair, next to somebody that does massages, but there's no cohesive group. No, none of that. It's all independent. So that's as close as it gets. Another thing, I found this out when I was looking for coaches for myself. Like, okay, I don't know anything about that. I need to get an industry coach. There were 2. One is called Summit Salon, and they similar idea. So it's kind of a salon in a box. You use our method, but they're all employer-based salons where I want to create independent contractor. Like I'm trying to move them from employee to independent contractor. So they're an employee-based salon. And then the salon owners that have bought into their idea become Summit coaches and coach other salons. So that's similar, but not quite what I wanted. And then there's one other industry coach that does anything like this, and she's more focused on marketing your salon. She won't come in and tell you how to run it. She'll just give you the marketing tips. But yeah, that doesn't really exist. The closest you would get is maybe, this salon owner opened another salon and another salon.
So you said that they are not graduating enough stylists or
Right.
these people to fill the chairs. So the flip side to that is there a significant demand that is out, because even if you had enough stylists, can you meet is there that demand from the customers?
Yes, certainly. So because that was my initial concern, like, okay, well, if all these chairs are empty, the problem is they tell them that the measure of success is you go own a salon. And so they get into, usually they start at like a sports clips or a great clips. Then they move into a booth rent situation in somebody else's salon, and then they move into owning their own salon. And then they don't know what to do after that. So that's why there's a salon on every corner with all these empty chairs. But originally I thought, well, are customers just not looking for that? Are they looking for the great clips or the super cuts where you can just walk in, book online, walk in, get your hair cut and be out in 15 minutes? Is that where the industry is going? But I don't think that it is. And the reason why is as soon as we opened, we had clients coming through the door, but nobody to serve them. So clearly, like women want, again, I wasn't somebody that did this, but women spend a lot of money in salons. And when I was like, oh, you spend, oh my gosh, so there is a high demand. Yes. For a better experience than what they would get at one of the franchises out there.
So, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
How would you be able to get some of these, I don't know like the proper name,
Yeah.
but like these kitchen beauticians?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because we all know the kitchen beauticians.
Right.
Who been doing hair for forever, who
Mm-hmm.
know how to do hair, who hook
Yeah.
you up,
Yeah.
and all of that. How can what you have going on, how
Mm-hmm.
can they benefit from that? Because I have like 5 people in my head right now who I know want to go exactly
Yeah,
how
do
you're
that.
doing, but they feel like it's not going to be, they can't really make enough money if they go into a salon.
Right.
I've had a few of my friends who really, they do hair outside of their house because they make more money.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And because there's no one on top trying to get
Mhm.
cut or whatever. So how would they be able to like get involved and be able to be independent?
So that's the absolute problem that I have to solve, because we have when you come out of school, you can either go work a minimum wage job that you are guaranteed a paycheck, or you can be a struggling entrepreneur and starve for a couple years but pay booth rent, so you're paying out but not bringing the money in. And they'll do that for a little while. Usually, they'll make it maybe even 6 months. And then they realize, like, wait a minute, I am not making anything. So then they either leave or go work out of their home or something like that to, cut those costs and still be able to do it. But that wasn't their dream. Their dream was to own a salon someday. And so I kind of have to help them through that. And then so the way we do it is we created a 5-phase plan where if they need to start in a steady paycheck, they do. And they learn how to be a receptionist, what it means for client care. Like they learn the basics while they're an employee and I control their time. They learn those basics. And then once they've kind of started to develop a little bit of a following, they have the clients that they have taken as walk-ins in the salon, and they've repeated that business over and over again. Then we start to transition them into a sole proprietor. So at that point, that's when I do something that is a little bit different. I allow them to pay me based on the number of services that they do. So now if I come there, if I am sitting there all day, we all know because we've had to do this, right? Where you've worked all day and not made $1. They don't like that. And they really don't like it when they've worked all day, not made $1, and now have to pay rent to me. That is hard to do. So I'll let them pay based on the number of services they do that day. And they might sit there all day and do nothing. Or they might have one client. Well, at least they're not out, the money. And then after that, we move them, once they've built up enough that they're actually paying me more per service than they would if they were paying a monthly booth rent, move them to a booth rent situation. The problem is there's not a salon that does all of those things. You have to pick one or the other. So they go and they work in a hourly job and they build up a little bit of a following there, and now they have to shift to a commission salon or a booth rent situation, and they think those people are going to follow them, and they don't, because that's not the clientele that you're building in a salon. So then they work and work and work and build it up again from the ground up in that salon, and now, I want to move and either go work in another salon in the booth rent, or I want to open my own salon. Now they have that second gap that we're losing them in. So we have 2 opportunities to lose these people before they even become salon owners. And I just wanted to create the bridge between those 2 things. When I was looking at all the different models out there right now, I thought, well, why can't I do all of those? Why do I have to pick one or the other? It seems for my client, they would want something that they could work in the same salon for 30 years. That doesn't happen now. I can't, of all the people that I have met, usually in the first 5 years, they've moved 3 times. And if you're losing 30% of your business every time you move, yeah, it doesn't always work out right.
Have you worked on mapping the consumer journey to the decision-making process? Because I think that maybe some of the questions could emerge by understanding the journey of the consumer and how they make a decision. So is it based upon the reputation of the salon? Is it based upon the reputation of the individual? Is it based upon the location of the individual in the salon? And then that buying experience, right, of do I get the decision, do I make the decision on, someone based upon my network of friends?
Right.
So have you mapped that consumer journey?
Yes. Well, that's actually what we're starting to do now. Now that we've got the service providers and they're doing it, okay, how are these clients coming in? Because before it was just random. It was, I've done a little bit of marketing, and so people hear about me or friends of mine, or they'll come in. It was a random thing. So now we're really starting to identify what that process is. What I've found so far is that most women will do what other women do. And so if they just get their ideal client, teaching my client to identify their ideal client, and now teaching them how to go find those people. But I have learned, and this was a skill that I had to develop this last year, that referrals, so the old school teaching is you get a client, you talk to them about referrals. And before you know it, you're doing their whole community, that whole subdivision comes to you to get their hair done. That's not exactly true anymore. Those old school people are still using that model, but when they say, go see my friend so-and-so at this salon, she's great, and that new consumer, the 30-year-old, looks on her phone and doesn't see any work that they've put out, doesn't see any kind of marketing. It doesn't matter that my best friend told me to go see her, I'm not going to see her. So we have the old school ones that are missing that piece of it and need to be coached a little bit on that. But then we have the younger ones that can't create the client experience that the older ones know how to create. And it's just kind of, again, it's broken the system. You've got both of these 2 competing customers that need to, we want them all in our salon, obviously. And the young stylist coming out is just going to take anybody and everybody. The old stylist is only going to take their friends of friends. And it just kind of jams up everything.
I think that just, again, I would really challenge based upon my personal experience to really understand the consumer and the consumer journey. Because there can be a lot of assumptions based upon training or being behind the chair like you're talking
Yeah.
about. And getting out and getting that journey understood and mapped and really validating that can maybe start to help break down some of the
Yeah.
challenges for
That's,
your operators.
And building on what Rod just said, my personal experience with getting my hair cut, which is always a challenge, is that I'll go to the salon and then after that, somehow the next time I end up going or a few times after, that I become a regular there, then suddenly that person's gone.
yes.
And there's absolutely no way to find out
Where they are, what they,
yeah, right? Like, and then I'm like, I'm never gonna come back to that. Then I'm gonna
Right.
go find somewhere.
You build trust with them.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
Exactly.
It's
And then you
I
get to
like
start
my
all
haircut
over
the
again.
way, like I like my haircut, right?
Right.
Who cares that salon? I don't care who that salon
Exactly.
Right.
owner is. And
Right.
so I think that's such a huge issue that, if that's something that you can solve, that's one thing. The next thing was what I liked about what you identified with regards to the journey of the salon stylists and these people, and that they really didn't like it how they were just sitting around. The more you make that pain point being explicit and transparent to them, the more you can start shifting them to the next stage in that progression.
Yes, absolutely.
I have a couple of things. I was gonna move my first thing for a second. You said how the younger stylists aren't building the relationships maybe as well as the older stylists, because the older my daughter was a cosmetologist. She's she went from generations out of Pine
Oh,
Bluff
yeah, yeah.
Park to having 4 kids to her home, and now she's in Texas. She's still cutting people's hair. She chased out of Illinois, but she's 30. She's part of that age where it's like the kitchen cosmetologist,
Yes.
like Ashley was talking about. It's like, tell me your problems. Oh, I understand what's happened since last time. And I can see, not to paradigm whatever, but I can just see with a 23-year-old coming in, no matter the student steps up, oh, just a minute,
Yeah,
social media, I got to post, and that's probably maybe a part of your training to let them develop more close of a personal relationship, which is awesome if that's happening, because that's probably needed. Like
That's certainly a mistake that I made when I came in, because I was like, oh, clearly we know how to have conversations with people. No.
And secondly, like you came from the business end of it, learned the creative, learned about
Right.
it. So again, my daughter went to Midwest in Bloomington, which is kind of almost a third of it is business,
Yeah.
Well, very right brain, very good stylist and everything like that. She flunked the one class that so she was like adept to that. When do you think about or do this when you encourage people to go and eventually own become an entrepreneur, own their own salon or whatever? Do you put people together that are both left brain, the cutters, and right brain, the business person? Is that
Yes,
part
yes.
of what you do?
So
Or
the big, the way I see this all working out is they've come through my process, and now what happens, okay, most salon owners do not want people to leave their salon, right? Now I've spent 10 years training this person, and now she's gonna leave and go open her own salon down the street and take half of my stylist with her and all of my clients. So there's a very real fear. I was reading one of the celebrity stylist books, and in there it says, you will have a walkout. You will lose half of your staff at some point during the time you own a salon. Well, you don't really have to if your model is set up that you want them to leave. So now I've eliminated that big crisis that most salons feel. But a salon owner isn't incentivized to help those people grow right now in the model that exists. They're actually incentivized to not. So that right there makes me different. When somebody comes in, I said, if I'm doing my job right, you will outgrow me. I want you to outgrow me. And then I want you to take what you have learned here and go open a salon down the street. And you are really amazing at doing balayage and all of these other new words that I've learned in the last 3 years. I couldn't even say it right 3 years ago. Like, you're great at doing that, but You need to partner with this other salon, this other girl that loves reading financial statements. So how about the two of you get together, go open a salon, pay me to coach you, and pay me to use my salon software, and pay me to create the marketing things for you that you're not going to create and just slap your name on it. I mean, that's what I want to happen. So like when I said that I was at Tricoci, I go to Tricoci, the beauty school, every other week and just sit with the students and talk with them. When I say that I want you to outgrow me, they're like, I mean, they just don't, there literally is, that's why the industry has such a bad rap, because it's competing against each other, and it doesn't have to be that way. Just create your model so that you're getting paid when they leave.
Since you have that model, you might want to, have you looked at Reid Hoffman's book called Allies?
No, I haven't read that one yet. Yeah.
It's Silicon Valley builds a whole philosophy on allies. So we do the same thing in our shop, where we actually hire telling people that you won't be with us forever.
Right.
And so when we do that, we build agreements, and those agreements are built around an alliance. And so that book is a really fantastic book to start thinking about how do you build alliances with your staff.
Right.
Because you know that your staff is probably going to have anywhere from a 3 to 5 to 7 year runway with you, and they're going to leave. But you leave them with the strategy of we have a long-standing relationship regardless if you're with me or not.
Absolutely.
So it's a discussion up front. So it's good that you're doing that.
Yeah,
That book's a really good shaper on that topic.
And most like the big salons have non-competes.
Yeah.
And when I looked at that, I mean, I of course was counseled, you need to have a non-compete.
Yeah. No.
And I thought, no, I don't. Because that's not the people that I want to attract. I don't want that. So we didn't do that. But I like the idea of alliance.
Yep.
I don't know that I've ever used that word with them.
It's not original. Again, get the book. It's a fantastic
Yeah,
book.
I will definitely check that one out.
What's the name of the book again?
It's I think Allies. Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, so is the writer of the book.
That's exactly what I want to create, is alliances with them versus competition.
So I was curious, you showed an image, I don't know the business.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you had 4 seats together in the salon.
Uh-huh.
Does that mean you would essentially have 4 different beauticians running a certain seat? So when I saw that, so my wife, obviously we've been married 15 years, there's still misunderstanding between male and female, right?
So wait a minute, you go what? Like.
But it seems like everything she does is highly social, right? She enjoys those social experiences. So as I looked at those chairs, like, is there a way to manage that social group? Like, do you have to look at everybody that comes in at 9 and start to organize a family, essentially? You can't have an experience different from the ones people want to have. How do you manage that?
And that is kind of a sticky situation. The way most salons manage it now is they only hire people that look like them, talk like them, are their brand. And so you would notice, and this is the weirdest thing, like when you go in salons, all of them look exactly the same. It's weird. Like they all have the same haircut and they all like the same tone of voice, and I don't know if it's I haven't figured that out. Like, is it just like a pack mentality? Like they all just, I don't know. So I haven't figured that part out yet. But the way that I've decided to do it is we talk about these kind of things with our clients. Do you want to talk about the weather with every client that comes in? Because I am sick of hearing people talk about the weather. I want to talk about, so perfect example, Kelly told the story to one of her clients about, yep, I used to work in finance and now I'm here. And told that story to one of her clients. And her client, and she said to her, if you could do anything in the world, what would you do? And she worked for a water company. She goes, I would work at a vet. I want to be a vet tech. 30 days later, she got a job working for, and she's like, I'm just scared to do it because I don't know what to do, But Kelly was able to inspire. So those are the kind of conversations and the kind of culture that I want to build. And the salon is very unique. Most salons, when you walk in, it's either a galley style, where you've got the stylist standing, the chair, and then they're having the conversation with the person, just the person that is in their seat. Ours is a circle. And honestly, it was originally just to save money because all of that stuff was already there. And we have this giant piece of industrial art that had been hanging there for 50 years. And I was like, that's cool. I want to keep that. So we kept it the way that it was. And it's 6-person circles. So you've got the stylist and the person. But they're having conversations with people on both sides of them and even through on the other side. And it's really kind of created, like, people come in and they're, what are we going to talk about today? You know,
Yeah.
what are we talking about? And I will sit in the chair next and just have conversations with people so that I have modeled for the stylist the kind of things that we want talked about in here.
Because I bet people are paying for that experience.
They are.
They are paying for
Yeah.
the style.
Honestly, we say, like, yes, you need to be able to do decent hair.
Yeah.
Like, they can't walk around looking awful. You have to be able to do decent hair, but that does not build a business for you. And when I see these young students coming out, what are they spending their time doing? Watching YouTube tutorials about how to cut the perfect bang, or how to, and I'm like, no, we need to watch YouTube videos about building your business. And just kind of changing that mindset.
Just to build on what Rod said, the allies component, you know, for the people that are thinking about leaving and have left,
Mm-hmm.
you need to consider starting a Inspired Style co-alumni.
Ooh. I like that. Because I started Inspired University for the students, but having them on the back end,
I mean,
the
like,
alumni community.
you know, Google has a Google alumni, LinkedIn,
Yeah.
and everybody else. And really, you know, you talk about connection and building community, that's really what it is. And then also consider about the part of the culture that you're actually building, how that continues after they've left, and, you know, the flavor that you've inspired, and then they go on to do that elsewhere too.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
To take what they've learned here,
Yeah.
but then have a community around
Absolutely.
that they can,
And that's the ongoing connection.
yeah. Whether they have me as a coaching client or not,
Right, exactly.
we have that in common, that we all grew up here.
Right.
They do tend to say that we grew up here, that's the salon I grew up in, and so then you tend to take those ways with you when you open your own salon. So any other questions about what we're doing here? It seems like for the first, again, before I took the co-starters class, we bootstrapped this. And luckily I am married to somebody that when I came home and said, like, I'm gonna open a salon, he goes, okay, like, he just, okay, you know. So we did bootstrap this, and initially that was a pain point for me because I couldn't hire the people that I needed to do the stuff, and so everybody has that same story. I'm doing all the stuff. But now that I've kind of figured out the operational part of it, I'd love to be able to hire somebody to do that piece of it so that I can handle the big problems. I think I'm about 6 months away from doing that. But if I hadn't done it that way, I wouldn't know that there's a software problem in the world. I would not have known that. We would have just bought the software and we would have made it work. But we bought the software, we tried it, and I'm like, why is this way? This is stupid. Like, how is there not something better? So that helped me identify a lot of those problems that I wouldn't have seen otherwise. But going forward, our biggest pain point is getting that middle group, that gap, the ones that have the unicorns that have the 5 years of experience and a little bit of clientele, but need an environment to work in. So if you know any of those people, I want to talk to them.
What is your problem with them? What are they saying to you?
Well, they don't exist because they don't make it past their 2 years. So you have those fresh out of school people that are within their first 2 years and are going to quit by the time the 2 years is up. And then there's a gap between like 2 years and about 15 years. Mm-hmm. The people with 15 years are like, you know what, I'm in this salon, I've been standing in the same spot for 10 years, and I'm good here. So they're not leaving unless they have a really compelling reason. And I think I've noticed that people are starting to notice us. Those experienced stylists that I've kind of had my eye on are starting to notice us. But then you create another problem because now they've spent 15 years working in that model, and I have to convince them that mine is better.
What are you doing to advertise, to market?
Honestly, networking. I am just networking. At first, I put out ads of this is what I'm looking for and this, and then I got a lot of applications, but they were all the people I didn't want. They're the people that have been in 10 salons in the last 5 years, and so it's all of them. Like, you know, it's this salon owner was mean, and this salon, and then it's probably you. So initially that was my plan, but I have to take the low and slow route until I find those unicorns and start convincing them to come work for me. So I'm taking them fresh out of school and doing all of the hard work, getting them into my model from day one.
Well, if we don't have any more questions, there is one question we like to ask you at the end of every presentation, and that is, what can we as a community do to help you?
Well, if you know any unicorns, I want to talk to them. Once I am able to talk with them and get them like, oh, wait a minute, I hadn't thought of that, then I usually get them. So if you know any unicorns, I want to know them too. And then just brand awareness, share us. If you need some services done, come see us, because now that we've got the chicken, we need the egg. I got the people that are in there working, and now they want the clients coming in. So that's always going to be attracting those right clients. So that's how you guys can help me.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.